Now to a developing story. Police in New York City are getting ready for potential protests. All officers were instructed to be available today to make sure things stayed under control. You're taking a live look at Trump Tower there in New York City. Now, this move comes after former President Trump was indicted by a grand jury yesterday.
And while he is expected to turn himself in next week, he hasn't said how it will impact his current campaign to reclaim the White House. We have live Team 7 coverage on this Friday morning, starting with Jonathan Hall live in New York City. Jonathan.
Yeah, Maka, that's a really good question. Will it energize his campaign? Some people think so, ironically. Guy gets indicted and he could actually do better in the polls among some of his supporters. We'll have to wait and see. This is where President Trump, the former president, will be on Tuesday. It's where he will be arraigned, he will be booked, he will be fingerprinted, and pose for a booking photo.
The historic indictment of former President Donald Trump will start a criminal process that will in some ways work like any other case, and in other ways look very different.
Obviously, given the nature of the high-profile defendant here, makes a lot of the things perhaps external to the core criminal legal issues make this a very challenging case to prosecute.
Right now, the charges former President Trump faces are being kept under seal, and that's normal until the defendant's first appearance in court. But what happens before Trump's first court appearance is unclear. In the past, the Manhattan DA's office has been known for having high-profile defendants do perp walks before the media.
If the district attorney is politically astute and wanting to avoid additional charges of politicizing this prosecution, I would imagine he's going to look for ways to do it in as low a key way as possible. Now, interestingly, former President Trump being who he is, he may want the spectacle.
The former president's indictment also heightens security concerns.
There's also additional security interests, that a typical defendant, even a high-profile defendant, is not going to have a Secret Service cadre accompanying them wherever they go.
CNN says Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan district attorney here, had wanted Donald Trump to appear, show up in court, and turn himself in on Monday. But because of security concerns, Brandon, they decided to delay that a day.
Well, Jonathan, we know police are stepping up security efforts ahead of this indictment, especially outside of Trump Tower. You're outside of the courthouse. What are you seeing there?
Well, the courthouse security is very, very tight. There are barricades set up all over the place. We're hearing some 30,000 police officers, more than 30,000 on the NYPD, are being told to report for duty as of 7 a.m. this morning. They're ready for trouble here. We've seen absolutely no protesters. Reporting live in New York, I'm Jonathan Hall, 7 News Today in New England. Brandon.
Jonathan, thank you. Jonathan Hall, live for us there in the Big Apple. Now, with politicians split on the motives behind this indictment, the Manhattan DA is standing firm in his decision. 7's Rob Way is live in the newsroom with more on the security concerns Alvin Bragg is facing.
Brandon, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg drew national attention when he was first elected. Now he's back in the spotlight, and this isn't the first time he's pursued a case against the former president. Bragg was first elected as DA in 2021. He's Manhattan's first black district attorney. When he served as Assistant Attorney General for New York, he led the team that sued the Donald J. Trump Foundation for tax fraud. Because of that case, the foundation was dissolved, and the former president had to pay $2 million to a number of charities. Bragg has faced criticism from some Republicans for how he's handled this investigation, and his office has even received death threats. Just last week, a powdery substance and a death threat letter were found at the DA's office. New York City police and environmental protection officials isolated and removed that letter. The substance was sent to a lab for testing. Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy tweeting, Alvin Bragg has irreparably damaged our country in an attempt to interfere in our presidential election. The House of Representatives will hold Alvin Bragg and his unprecedented abuse of power to account. Bragg has remained tight-lipped about the probe, but he has stressed that his office will continue to apply the rule of law fairly and take security threats seriously. Live in the newsroom, Rob Way, 7 News Today in New England.